Have you ever wondered what's hiding right beneath your feet? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of history's absolute greatest mysteries. We're traveling back in time thousands of years to discover a completely lost world, full of huge walled cities and ancient secrets.
Picture this. It's the 1850s. You're out there building a railway track, digging deep into the dirt, when suddenly you hit a brick. And not just one, but literally millions of strange, perfectly baked bricks. What would you do with them? Would you think they were just old rocks or the hidden keys to an entirely forgotten world? Keep that question in the back of your mind.
But before we unlock that secret, just a quick note. This educational explainer is produced by Waqas Ahmed Shah, an educator and AI agents and automation builder for educators, traders, and startups based in Karachi, Pakistan. All right, here is our adventure map for today. 1. What makes a civilization? 2. The power of rivers. 3. Building the Indus Valley. 4. Uncovering the lost cities. And 5. Recap and what's next. Let's kick things off with Section 1, What Makes a Civilization? Defining early society.
You know, we hear the word civilization a lot in history class, but what does it actually mean? Well, the word itself comes from the Latin word civis, which basically means city dweller. It describes that massive turning point when people decided to stop wandering around and finally settle down together in one place. They built well-organized cities, came up with super clever ideas, created amazing art, and made strong community rules so everyone could live together safely. Moving right along to Section 2, the power of rivers, nature's supermarket.
Now, to build these incredible, organized cities, ancient humans needed a serious superpower, and they found it in rivers. Actually, the people of our mystery world weren't the only ones to figure this out. Just like ancient Egypt grew right next to the Nile, and Sumer popped up between the Mesopotamian rivers, the amazing Indus Valley Civilization began right next to the rushing water of the mighty Indus River system. But why, right? Why did early humans always want to be so close to the water? Well, it's kind of like this. Rivers were basically ancient supermarkets and highways all rolled into one. They gave early people endless water for their thirsty crops. Plus, the soil next to rivers is super rich and fertile, which is absolutely perfect for farming. The land is mostly flat too, making it way easier to build homes, and because animals naturally come down to the rivers to drink, there were always plenty of food sources nearby.
It basically works exactly like nature's very own calendar. Check this out. Every spring, melting mountain snow rushes down. This makes the rivers rise up and flood the entire valley. Then, when the water finally goes down, it leaves behind this rich, magic mud called silt. Thanks to that silt, farmers could grow food year after year. But hey, it was risky. If the floods failed, crops would fail, and people could literally starve. So the stakes were super high.
Okay, Section 3, Building the Indus Valley, a massive timeline. Let's jump into our time machine for a second, because it took a really, really long time to build this society. We're starting all the way back in 6500 BC, when small farming families first began settling near the river. Fast forward to 3000 BC, and boom, many thriving villages spring up. Then, by 2600 BC, they grew into these massive, highly advanced walled cities. And these early builders were incredibly smart. Their cities weren't just messy piles of dirt. No way. They had beautifully laid out homes, perfectly straight streets, and incredible baked brick paving. But here is the absolute wildest part. They had some of the world's earliest drainage and plumbing systems. That's right, working plumbing thousands of years before most of the rest of the world. How cool is that?
Which brings us to Section 4, Uncovering the Lost Cities, a Buried Mystery.
Wait a minute, though. If they were so incredibly advanced with all that awesome plumbing, how did they become a lost mystery? This brings us right back to those 1850s railway workers. So they found those perfect, ancient baked bricks near a site called Harappa. But instead of calling in the scientists, they just used them to build their modern train tracks. I know, right? They had absolutely no idea they were tearing apart history. It wasn't actually until 1922 that real archaeologists properly dug up the ruins at Mohenjo-Daro, and a brilliant ancient civilization was finally recognized by the world. And once they started digging, they just kept finding more. Today, explorers and archaeologists have found over 1,400 of these ancient sites scattered far and wide across modern India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. To put that into perspective, that massive number proves just how huge and successful this civilization really was before it totally vanished. All right, Section 5, recap, and what's next. Reviewing our journey.
Let's do a super quick review before I leave you with a massive historical mystery to solve. So, civilizations are basically organized cities packed with rules and culture. Rivers provided the water and that rich silt needed to survive. And the Indus Valley? Well, it grew into advanced walled cities by 2600 BC. But it was completely forgotten until it was accidentally rediscovered by those lucky railway workers in the 1850s. And that leaves us with our final giant question. Over 1,400 amazing ancient cities were built, they thrived, and then they were completely abandoned. If life was so great with awesome plumbing, strong walls, and endless food, why did they leave? Where did they all go? Think about that. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more fun history adventures where we'll keep uncovering the greatest mysteries of our past. See you next time.